So, my deepest sense of what's happening in this time is that we're descending into the human experience, into the body, after being up and away for so long. Our perception of life has been very forward motion, over there, leaning outwards. And this moment of descent is calling us and ushering us into the power and the wholeness that we've always been. And part of the paradigm that we've been inside of for the last few thousand years has been very much about this idea that power and wholeness is something that we have to seek. We have to seek it out, and we have to grab it and attain it, even though we never actually get there, because there's this deep sense that something isn't enough. We are not enough, and something is missing, and so the leaning forward never quite completes itself or resolves itself. So through this descent, we're realizing how uncomfortable and painful it actually is to externalize our power and our wholeness. It's deeply discordant to operate within that system. It doesn't feel good. So it's uncomfortable to awaken to that we've been leaning forwards outside of ourselves, trying to grasp this thing that actually is already true, is already who we are. And part of how I experience this descent is the illumination of how deeply trustworthy our human experience is. It's deeply trustworthy. The ways that life touches us, the way we respond to life and our relationships and ourselves, the way that life knocks us about, the emotions that we can't escape, that we can't just clear or get rid of. Our human experience is actually deeply trustworthy and is not something to fix or correct. And through the descent, when we begin to be in relationship with the way that life touches us and the way that life has shaped us, not because we're weak or broken, but because of the way that our experiences and the system that we're inside of has affected us and how it shaped us. So our response to that shaping and the way we're touched by life is very instinctual and intelligent. It's to be trusted rather than pathologized and corrected. And the truth is, we can't correct it. Any attempt to try and correct that, to try and will ourselves into a different shape, is only going to push us further away from our essence and from our wholeness. I'll hand it over to you in a moment.
Mm-hmm. You're doing great. I'm getting the transmission fully.
exactly. And this is where embodied destiny starts to make itself known. Because when we open up to the paradigm of, my human experience is deeply trustworthy, because it's actually opening me. It's opening me to the truth that I need to feel and experience. And that opening is bringing us into deeper alignment and coherence, and sort of naturally unfolds into our destiny. Those archetypal flavors of the way we get disempowered, the way that we doubt ourselves, or the ways that we have fear, the more we start to trust in that and let it exist and let it move through us, there's a flowering and an unfolding happens. And that's where destiny starts to lead us and direct us. But this paradigm of I need to fix myself because I'm broken, because something's wrong with me, is actually a rejection of our essence and a rejection of the destiny that's trying to find us. Anything you wanna?
Yeah, you're doing so well, and I really feel like this transmission is really yours today. But yeah, I've got some sprinkles. What's stirring in me as I really receive you there is just that distrust that life is working for us and leading us already into, like, life's already making us, life is already cooking us, life's already working us, but this distrust, because it's uncomfortable and it doesn't always make sense, and it doesn't always fit into the, what the mind can comprehend, and it's not always linear. So there's this distrust that life itself isn't the very thing that we need. We have to kind of go somewhere else, get something else, fix something, heal something, move something, change something, rather than the pure simplicity and beauty of truly being with, and the true presence that is the field of alchemy. It's, you don't come into true presence to alchemize something. That's a kind of a juvenile, young humanity approach. We come into presence because that's fundamental humanity, to be in presence with life, with ourselves. We come into and hold the field of presence, and that field of presence and that field of being with, that's love. That's love. That's where alchemy naturally unfolds. But we don't trust that the presence is enough, the being with is enough, the truly going into is enough. We have to get something, another coat of paint to go over the top of ourselves to make ourselves look a little different, or speak a little different, or stand a little different, or rather than kind of coming into the innateness and the essentiality that's already here. So for me, I've really, I think it's pretty well known that I've lived my life a lot of my life in a state of distrust, and that's why I spent so long in like the entrepreneurial loops, in the coaching loops, in this trying to get something outside of myself, always trying to like think that I can make myself better than life can make me. Like not trusting that life is actually going to cook me into myself, but rather I have to. Oh, young little Matthew, who's I'm the equivalent of a toddler as a human. Like really, I am. I can actually make myself better than life can make me, better than God can cook me, better than This is faith. It's like a lack of faith, a faith I didn't have, that life was looking after me, that what I was experiencing and journeying in my life, and the challenge of that, and the rawness of that, and the complexity of that was actually not leading me towards myself. And so that distrust has been with me my whole adult life, you know, really deep distrust that creation's looking after me, that creation is actually supporting me to become what I am. And so much of my life is turned away from what's happening, trying to get something else, be somewhere else, make something happen. I literally even used to have a Facebook cover image that said the words "Make it happen." You know how like young man is that? Make it happen. You know, force it to happen. That was my make it happen.
But also it's beautiful because that's you at a time when you needed to find your will.
Yeah, it's a stage
from
of like
being
will development,
suppressed or you know whatever you were going through. So yeah, we don't even.
But it is important. It's an important stage. It's just a stage in the developmental journey.
Yes.
And as we ripen and as we cook more and as we kind of grow into our humanity, truly we come into like a deeper faith, and we come into a deeper relation and a deeper trust. And from that place, it's like we come to realize that life's looking after us, actually, that we are deeply and profoundly held and looked after, and we're being grown always, actually. We're being led towards ourselves. If only we can kind of get on board with that and trust it, and trust the unfolding, and trust those things that I've wronged, and trust those things that I've felt like are cages or limitations that I've tried to turn away from or wrong, and just trust that they're actually a really important, my challenges are a really important part of me becoming myself, and they are where I open the most, grow the most. They're pointing me towards myself. Yeah, so I suppose just naming this distrust that has been a very like real and tangible piece of my life journey that I think is actually, you know, I've looked into lots of eyes and I see a lot of distrust that life is, even in people who've journeyed really far, and actually sometimes particularly in those who we look up to, entrepreneurial beings or figures of influence, often in their eyes is a distrust as well, and that still kind of make it happen ground, that make it happen philosophy. And I think at least, you know, us and our communities, we're really being asked to begin to find a kind of trust and relationship and listening that brings us back to what is here, what's always been here, back to actual presence with ourselves, back to the very center, back to the earth, back to the ground, back to the body, back to what's here, and coming into a real reverence and appreciation and trust that what's here is the thing we've been looking for out there all this time. The trust that what's here is what's needed. Yeah.
And a really sobering part of this process is getting real about how much we haven't trusted life and trusted our human experience and how we've responded to life and the cross that we bear and the ache that follows us, and not to like wrong it or objectify it, but to have real deep compassion and honesty about that. And that isn't like a personal thing, like you haven't trusted life. It's a collective phenomena. It's part of the myth that we've been dreaming. It's the evolutionary force that's been working through us. We've fallen really far away from just the soberness of what is, what it means to be alive, what it means to be human. And not because we're horrible people, that's just the way things have gone. It's
it's like this moment in time. It's this era on Earth. You know, in some ways we're supposed to fall away and forget these pieces so that we can reclaim them, remember them, and come back in. It's just part of the natural rhythms and the natural life cycle of life on Earth.
And really that extreme dissonance of, but I shouldn't be feeling this, and I shouldn't have this experience, and life shouldn't be unfolding like this. You know, that tension with ourselves is ultimately here to catalyze us into wholeness. If we can get real and sober to how that friction moves through us, and ultimately it's here to soften us and crack us open and humble us to the love that always was and always is here and inside of us. There's no feeling or sensation or aspect of the human experience that isn't trustworthy, that isn't calling us into wholeness and opening us into love. And that's sort of the cosmic joke, is we've been in this paradigm of like shaming and pointing and fixing and pathologizing, and it's like, what do you mean? Like, this is just humanness. It's innocence.
This is just what it is.
Yeah.
To be here. Can we rest into that and make friends with it?
Yeah, it's part of her design. It's part of the Earth's design for us to feel this way. It's part of what impassions us and drives us to live and love and care. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really just feeling that current of how we've wronged and distrusted all of these pieces of our lives that are complex, or that we can't quite understand, or it seems like there isn't an answer. You know, like when it seems like there isn't an answer somewhere, we often turn away from that place or try to, you know, fill in the gaps with something rather than just being with the mystery of it. You know, being with the question that is unanswered there, and just having patience with that, and trusting that there's not supposed to be an answer, but this kind of open space, this question that's unanswered, this mystery is working us actually.
Yeah.
It's like it's part of the tension that's growing us, bringing us closer to ourselves. It's marinating us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the space of true wisdom and power, is the surrender of I don't know. Like, I feel like that's where real life emerges from. Yeah, and I think so much of our vulnerability about being human is because we don't know.
Yeah.
We're in the dimension of unknown, the ever unfolding moment that we can't oversee or predict.
Just got really human for me just then when you said that. Got really like personal and human and real. Aww. Yeah, in a good way. I was just really feeling the tenderness of being human and having so much that's not known, and how scary that can be, and how hard it is actually to feel like we're waiting, and that we're uncomfortable and challenged, and sometimes even like really hurting, and that often we really struggle to stay with that, to stay with the hurt and to stay with the ache. It's actually really tender to stay with the realities of life on Earth, and to stay with the realities of complexities. You know, I've had some beings journey with me and be students of mine these last few years who are adopted, and the complexities of being with their family line, and the intricate kind of challenges of like identity and belonging that comes with this, like almost being just the complexities of adoption and being raised by another family, and it's just so tender. It's so, and I think it's tender for all of us, but it does, just because it's tender and complex doesn't mean that it's not actually made for us, and that just being with it doesn't over time, over a life journey, really begin to support us to become ourselves actually. And all of those complexities over time, they refine and simplify and beautify. You know, you could say that a seed is a very complex thing. A seed that is one day destined to be a flower is a very complex thing, but it's very simple, this kind of like growth from seed into flower. It just takes not turning away, like continuing to be with the presence that allows the seed to bloom. As complex as it is, as challenging as it is. Yeah, it's been a real tender piece of the last few years, that.
Yeah. I feel like any time I've viscerally blossomed into more of myself, or felt myself be really opened to like the jewel that's inside me, it's been through sitting with that thing that's so hard to accept, the ache that won't leave, and the cross that I bear, that I can't just therapize or catharsis away. And I feel like that is the design and the architecture of destiny, is that it blossoms through us in those places that we can't fix. We're not meant to fix them. We're meant to be opened and unmade by them. And it's such an integral piece to come into intimacy and right relationship with, if we are to grow and mature as humans.
That catharsis piece, I think you speak really well into that. Did you want to have a go, or do you want me to?
I think you should go.
Yeah, I really feel, so much of the field around us is one of fixing, changing, coming into states of catharsis, to move energy, to change a thing, get it out, scream it out, and there's a place for these embodied practices, and like a really important place actually, but it's like become dominant culture in the field, and it's actually only a piece of the kind of greater puzzle, and so it's kind of become dominant this get it out, move it, change it, scream it out, get it outside of you. It's only a piece of what's actually being asked and what's really needed, and it has a kind of a fundamental wronging within it. There's this the thing inside you have to get out of you. It's not be with that thing. Get it. It's kind of like demonizing, like the seed inside you that hurts and is complex. Scream it out. Get it out of your body. Get it out of your body. It's like it's this seed
of destiny that's urging to break through you. The jewel that God planted in your soul. Get it away.
It's and I really want to stress there's a place for these embodied practices. They're important. They're just not the master plan. They're not the master way of approaching life and destiny stirring and coming alive. And there's a fundamental philosophy of wrongness, of like that thing in there should not be there. And it should.
Rather than trusting in the way that life touches us and moves through us. And what if that thing that feels really uncomfortable and ugly is so profoundly intelligent and wise? And what does it mean to bow to that and really listen and love and hold that thing? And for me, those have been the most profound psychedelic moments of my life, where I feel I've been reborn on some level.
There's a really big difference when we come to embodied practice. There's a big difference between the ground of get it out and be all the way with it. Just notice the different vibrational resonances of those ideas. Get it out. Move it from like a wrong kind of juvenile ground to be with it. Breathe with it. Like let it fill you. You know, it's a subtle thing, but it is really important in what actually happens over the course of a life. And yeah, there's a deeper honesty and a deeper trust and faith that lives in the being with, rather than trying to get out or change or fix. Doesn't mean it's comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what it means to become human.
It is what it means to become human.
The path of embodied destiny. Yeah. Shall we wrap it up here? And
Feels good.
yeah, if you are really resonating and feel like we're speaking to you and what's currently flowering within you or asking to be nurtured, Becoming Human, the 8-week journey that we're holding in a couple of weeks, is a really good place to start. And yeah, I believe that there are some really deep gifts there for you.
Yeah, it's going to be a really rich field. What we're doing is feels like revolutionary ground. It is where the collective field is heading over the next 30 to 50 years, and we're kind of touching it here now. And it's really grounded and simple and beautiful, but extremely important. And it feels like there is pieces here that they change a trajectory of a human life in a really beautiful and important way.
Yeah, it's sort of the mantra of like, we're not here just to get what we want and feel good. We're here to be open to truth and liberated to who we really are. And that is a courageous, uncomfortable and miraculous journey.
I like liberated to who we really are. Yeah.
Plenty more. Where did that come from, babe?
Give it all to me. Love you.
So yeah, check that out if you feel called to.
We'll share the link above.
Somewhere.
Or below.
As above, so below.
As in, so out.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for hanging out with us.